Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Just coming in, guys, Eric Swalwell, who now has been accused by multiple women of drugging them and raping them, is coming out with a statement. He just came out and said, categorically and unequivocally denying these allegations. He says they were part of a coordinated rollout of heinous allegations and argued none of it was about justice or the truth. He has resigned, remember, from Congress just a few hours ago. And also, he has left the California governor's race. But now he has to deal with a lot of criminal investigations because these allegations are serious.
Why did he resign?
Yeah, that's the question.
I would not resign if it wasn't the truth.
Right, exactly. And I'll tell you, I looked at this woman today, the evidence seems pretty credible. It's going to be a fight. Obviously, guilty till proven so.
I understand,
but
let's Professor Dershowitz on.
Absolutely. Let's go to Professor Dershowitz. Professor, these allegations are very serious. Again, as I say, they're just allegations. But now there are multiple women accusing, him of some very serious charges. I don't know if you saw the latest one, but the latest one says, she says, she believes he drugged her. And then she says, I lost consciousness. He raped me and choked me. Those are serious things.
Well, very serious. Anybody who drugs anybody, into consenting for sex ought to go to jail for a long, long, long period of time. Because that could happen to any of our daughters, any of our sisters. You go to a bar, they go to the bathroom for a second, somebody drops a Mickey into their drink, and the next thing they know, they're in somebody's bed. That's almost the worst form of rape imaginable, and it's done by high-class people with money and access to drugs, and it's horrible. It's horrible, and if these allegations are proved against him, he's going to have to go to jail. Now, he's going to face criminal charges, and it's hard to prove criminal charges, particularly when the women say they were unconscious, they can't remember exactly what happened, they woke up in his bed, all of that. Those are hard cases to prove. They have to be proved circumstantially. And, this guy sounds like a real sleazebag. And if any of these things are true against him, he deserves far worse than leaving Congress and resigning and not becoming governor. So we're going to see what happens, but let's wait. There is a presumption of innocence. He will have good lawyers representing him, and let's see if there's an Epstein phenomenon. If people who knew him or were close to him are also attacked for saying, "Oh my God, why didn't you tell us? Did you know? Didn't you know? Did Nancy Pelosi know? Did she protect him?" Let's see if the Democrats who are becoming McCarthyites on Epstein become McCarthyites on Swalwell as well.
Yeah, no, great
Professor,
points.
how much of a swamp do you think we have in Washington?
Oh, boy, do we have a swamp. I mean, it's so hard for Americans to trust what's going on in Washington. We know that everything is partisan and political. I mean, take, for example, the closing of the straits. I have to give myself a little bit of credit for that. I wrote a piece about it, got it to the president, got it to various members of the cabinet, got it to his negotiators. I don't know if they did it, in part because of my advocacy, but it was a great move. And now there are people saying, oh, it's terrible because it's going to cause, gas prices to go up a little bit in the short term. No, it really it took control of the strait away from Iran. And that's a key. And it ought to be applauded. But there are people out there, for example, Tom Friedman of the New York Times says he is in conflict over whether to support Iran or America because, although he doesn't like Iran, he hates Donald Trump and he hates Bibi Netanyahu, and there's such terrible conflict. So he's, quote, and this is his word, torn between Iran, America, and Israel. What kind of a person would say that? What kind of a newspaper would employ somebody who says that? How can you be torn between Iran and Israel and the United States, between the worst terrorist theocracy in modern history and flawed democracies? We're not perfect. Israel's not perfect. America's not perfect. Bibi's not perfect. Trump's not perfect. No, Trump is not Jesus Christ. No matter what he puts online, he's not. But the idea of choosing between Iran and choosing between democracies? Come on.
Yeah, I saw that, by the way, the comment that he made. It was so reprehensible.
Of course it was just a joke.
Did you see what also former CIA director John Brennan also said? He came out and said the 25th Amendment was written for Trump. This guy.
It wasn't written for Biden?
You know, it's interesting. Jamie Raskin, my former student, has just introduced legislation giving Congress a role in the 25th Amendment. He didn't do it when Biden was in office. He does it now when we have the most energetic, the most, quick-witted president in modern history. Everybody knows that he's not subject to removal under the 25th Amendment. I have an article coming out in the Hill in the next day or so tomorrow, I think, about that, arguing that it's unconstitutional even to suggest that Trump is subject to the 25th Amendment. Shame on Jamie Raskin for not introducing that legislation when Biden was president. It just shows the part that we're turning the 25th Amendment into yet another partisan weapon. That is, it's a very important amendment because if somebody has a stroke like Wilson when he was president, we need a mechanism for removing them. But we're weakening that amendment by making it a partisan weapon.
Yeah, no question. Judge Weinberg.
Alan, as you correctly point out, what you have here is the use of the 25th Amendment, which is an important vehicle and instrument to go after somebody because you have a difference in policy. And that's absolutely awful. That means every time you don't like somebody's policy, you go after him and say, he's mentally incompetent, take him out.
Yeah, well, I've read some of the debates over the 25th Amendment, and it was clearly designed to be neutral, nonpartisan effort, a guardrail against the president who has a stroke, who develops Alzheimer's. And remember, if you develop Alzheimer's, it can happen gradually and slowly. And so we need a mechanism, and the mechanism says it's within the party that controls. The vice president has to invoke it. Congress, the cabinet has to invoke it. It's not Jamie Raskin or the enemies who have to invoke it. And so will the 25th Amendment really continue to serve its nonpartisan purpose if it's used as a weapon by either side? And believe me, if it's used by the Democrats, it's going to be used by the Republicans. That's the nature of politics. And so I think we should be very worried about how the Democrats today are abusing the 25th Amendment, just as they are abusing many other parts of the Constitution.
They abuse the whole impeachment process, as you know.
Yeah. The whole impeachment process was abused. And now, I don't know if you saw this, but Trump issued on social this morning something about me.
Yes, I want to have you share it because tell everybody about the expunging, right? Talk about that.
Well, he called me great, which among my enemies will be a sign of shame. Among my friends will be good. But he said that we should consider undoing the first impeachment because we now know, based on John Solomon's reporting, that the government failed to turn over material that if it had been turned over would have made impeachment impossible. So is there a mechanism for undoing impeachment? Trump asked me to look into that, and so I will do that.
Wow.
That is wonderful.
That would be amazing. What do you think the chances are that it could be expunged? What's the chance?
It's never been tried before. Nobody's ever thought of it before. I'm glad in 1 week I came up with two things that others hadn't thought of. I came up, I think, originally with the idea to close the Strait of Hormuz, and that's been implemented now. And then the idea of undoing the impeachment. So for an 87-year-old, two pretty creative ideas in 1 week.
So what are you going to do for next week?
So I am not subject to the 25th Amendment. Let's make that clear.
Yeah, that's for sure. Craig Eden.
Professor, that is kind of brilliant because just like with exculpatory evidence, when it comes out later on, if the prosecutor hides exculpatory evidence, it's kind of the same
material.
This is kind of the same condition here.
Yeah, and you can get a conviction reversed and maybe an indictment dismissed. So why not get an impeachment undone? We're looking into it. Never make legal advice on standing on one leg. I have to do research. We're doing the research, and you'll be the first to know. We'll report back to you.
That's
Well,
great.
keep us
Wonderful.
posted. Big news. That's called a twofer. You got two big ones this week.
Yeah.
Thank you. And of
Thank
course,
you,
and of
Professor.
course, check out your new book. What's the name of your new book, Professor, real quick?
Called Could President Trump Constitutionally Serve a Third Term? Please buy it because bookstores aren't selling it because it's Trump. The New York Times is not reviewing it. The only way to get back at them is to buy books like this through Amazon. So please buy this book on Amazon.
Absolutely. We will. And we'll spread the word. Thank you,
Thank you,
Professor.
Professor.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.